If you haven't seen Star Wars, The Force Awakens yet, why are you here? This video contains spoilers of all kinds of nature. Please don't watch it. Instead, why don't you click on this one right here? It's where I do a spoiler-free review. This one is going to ruin the movie for you if you haven't seen it yet, so don't watch it, please. Just for me, and for you. If you're still watching this and you haven't seen Star Wars, why are you here? Please leave. It will ruin everything. I'm not being mean. Just do it, please. Like, seriously. Major spoilers. So now that supposedly everybody who hasn't seen Star Wars The Force Awakens is gone, either watching my spoiler-free review or just not here, I am not okay with Han Solo being dead. Like, let's just start right off. So, this review is going to focus on 3 parts. It's going to focus on this movie, first of all, as just an individual movie. It's going to talk about the movie as a Star Wars movie, and it's going to include my theories about stuff. So, let's begin with this movie as a movie itself. And where do you start with a movie? Typically, you start with a script. And the script was great. Something I felt was missing from the prequels that the original trilogy nailed was the humor. And a lot of the humor a lot of it was just unintentional in the original trilogy and had a lot to do with line delivery. And I think that came back in The Force Awakens. It was really funny. A lot of people felt it was too funny at the beginning, and I can see that, but I think they were just trying to prove really hard that this wasn't like a super serious thing. It had that sort of spontaneity and just humor of just a ragtag group of people trying to save the galaxy from the original trilogy, and I, for one, loved the humor. Biggest pet peeve is how... Well, okay, my biggest pet peeve is the fact that we have a super laser weapon, and that's a sphere. Only this time it's not a moon, it's a planet, because that makes it okay. So that is part of the whole borrowing so heavily from the original trilogy. And I was willing to forgive everything except the Star Killer, whatever it's called. Because that, I think, was too much. But a lot of people are going to talk about, oh, like, there's the Millennium Falcon thing, and then there's this supposed love triangle, which we'll touch on later. And there are just all of these things, like the whole bombing run. Yeah, it was a lot like it, but I think that's okay. Because not only is it supposed to be a continuation, but it's J.J. Abrams' homage to Star Wars. So, whatever. Once you have a script, you gotta find the people to play it. So we're gonna talk about the actors. Except I don't know their names, so we're gonna talk about the characters. Can we talk about Rey? Because Rey is everything I have waited for. Rey is most everything I have waited for. Rey is finally the female heroine that movies have been waiting for. Honestly, I want to say summer blockbusters have been waiting for. This is a summer blockbuster released in December. You're welcome, Australia. You got your summer blockbuster, finally. So, like, Rey was fantastic. She was actually, like, independent, and she was vulnerable, but she was also strong, and she kicked absolute ass. Like, my favorite little moment, not necessarily my favorite scene, but my favorite moment in the movie is the lightsaber where Kylo Ren is like, oh, and he's pulling it with the Force, and it's coming, and it hits him in the head, and it goes to Rey. Like, yes, I think that sums it up perfectly. She's this person who has stepped on the scene and is showing everybody up. She is never once objectified by the filmmakers. She runs as if she's in peril, not as if she's on camera. She is everything we wanted from, like, Katniss Everdeen without the unnecessary romance. And of course now we have to talk about Finn, who I guess is, like, gonna be her romantic partner, but I sure hope not. And Finn is great too. It's kind of weird. Having stormtroopers that have this ability to recognize what they are doing is morally evil then makes it harder to believe that the rest of the stormtroopers accept this. Is Finn the only one with this ability? If so, why? I don't know. I'm willing to accept that as a necessary starting point and go forward. I think it is fantastic to watch his character arc, because he starts off very, very concerned with self-preservation and avoiding the, with the, just self-preservation and avoiding the First Order. I knew it was First Order. Why did I doubt myself? I was like, First Order? Won something? No. And but he shifts into actually wanting to then protect Rey, and then ultimately I think at the very end he wants to join the fight. And then, you know, things happen to him. And he'll definitely join the fight later. And then we gotta talk about Poe. Good old Poe Dameron. Or Dameron. I don't remember how they pronounced his last name. Irrelevant. We gotta talk about Poe, because Poe was presented heavily as a main character. And then he wasn't. He was there for like 5 minutes at the beginning, 5 minutes, 3/4 of the way through, and then like 5 minutes at the end. Which is fine. I loved every second he was on camera. But it's weird because Finn was presented as more of the minor character and Poe as the major character, and then that's not the way it worked out. But I think it's fascinating. The relationship between Poe and Finn is fascinating. Because Poe is Finn's first for a lot of things. Poe gives Finn his name. He gives him a purpose. He gives him his first possession, the jacket, because stormtroopers don't own anything, except I guess their outfits, but like, no. And he gives him his name, Finn, instead of FN whatever. FN 2187. If you see me looking over here, I'm looking at my notes. FN 2187. Yeah. So he gives him his name, Finn, the jacket at the end, and a sense of purpose, which is go protect this droid. Also, now we gotta talk about BB-8 really quick, but then we're gonna go back to that. Because BB-8 has so much character. And I'm like, this is a droid. And I am getting so emotional over this droid. What is going on? And we're going to jump ahead to emotional droids. We're going to talk about R2-D2 literally grieving over Luke Skywalker and how not okay I am with that. Anyway. So I just hope that the relationship between Poe and Finn continues to deepen. Fanfiction. Let them be gay. Anyway. So we gotta talk about Kylo Ren. And how fantastically he was acted. It was just so amusing to see such a total Vader fanboy. I was like, this is relatable. I'm still very interested in why he picked Vader over Han. Like, you have such a buried legacy. So, why? But, you know, whatever. And then when he takes his mask off and his face is fine. Like, it's just, he's such a fantastically evil character, but he's complicated and he's young and you can tell he's like trying to be something he's not. And there are people writing fan fiction between him and Rey and tagging it as not incest yet. Because Rey is... Oh, this is trending into fan territory, but I think Rey is a Skywalker. Anyway, we're gonna get to theories later. So it was refreshing to see some of the old cast. You see Luke and Leia, and Han. I don't know why, yeah, you see Han and Leia. Well, first you see Han, then you see Leia, then at the very end you see Luke. And Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford aged well, and Mark Hamill aged. Which is okay, you know, he's doing his own thing. And so the cinematography was flawless. I especially loved the fight scene coordination was fantastic. I loved the music. I loved what John Williams composed. I loved how they resurrected the old themes, especially the opening theme at the beginning, paired with the scrolling text. I was like, hallelujah, I am actually watching Star Wars. I am actually crying. I cried. And the cinematography was flawless. The music was flawless. What John Williams wrote and what Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote. And did you know? He and J.J. Abrams are providing the vocals in the scene at her castle. Oh gosh. May? Who on the castle? Played by Lupita Nyong'o. Maz, yeah. Maz Kanata. Okay. So this movie, I think, holds its own as an individual movie. It's great. I want to see it again. It passed the overnight test, or the slept on it test, where I slept on it and I was just as excited the day after I saw it as I was after having seen it. I thought the pacing was good. It was always action-packed. It was great. Whatever. I loved everything about it. And I think it holds up as a Star Wars movie too. Earlier I talked about the humor. There could have been less CGI. I wish there was less CGI. Because what made the originals so fascinating was the use of practical effects. All of the puppetry for the aliens, and I don't know, it was just really cool. And I like, the CGI wasn't bad, it was great. But I just wish there was less of it. I just... There's a lot I have attached to these movies. I think these movies have always been about a family, and I am so glad that we are still seeing the same family being presented here, and we're just gonna jump to theories, because you know what, whatever. Earlier I talked about Rey being Luke's daughter, and here's like the whole lightsaber thing, and how she's a Jedi, and with all of the visions, and she has to go find, what's her, Maz literally is like, the people you were looking for are not coming for you. You have to go find them. She's waiting for her family, her parents. She has to go find her parent. And then she goes and looks for Luke Skywalker. And they end with her handing him the lightsaber and being like, come on, take it. Take it already. Take it! And I think they could have cut a few seconds off that, but whatever. But it seems too obvious, doesn't it? Like, how... They couldn't have made it any more explicit without saying, you're Skywalker, Rey. and they're gonna go for some twist. I know it, but I really hope not. Alternatively, she could be child of somebody evil. She could be a grandchild of Palpatine or Pelagius. I want to go with a grandchild of Palpatine. Or great-grandchild, whatever. Or she could be a grandchild of Obi-Wan, you know? Just throw somebody out there. There are all sorts of cool paths they could take, and I hope they take the Skywalker path, but it could be any number. Any of them will be fine. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Kylo Ren. I really did think he was going to go to the light side, but of course it has to parallel the death of Obi-Wan and all sorts of things. It's very the movie is structured very similarly to the others, as I've said earlier, and this is just another parallel. That being said, whereas killing Obi-Wan sent Vader further on the dark side, I think this might mark a turning point for Kylo. But who knows? I need to know who Snoke is. Because that is not what Snoke looks like. First of all, it's a hologram. It's a projection. He's definitely not that large. Second of all, okay, that's Snoke. But who is he? Is he secretly Luke Skywalker? Is he secretly Jar Jar Binks feeding lines to somebody who's translating them to normal English and spitting them out? Is he Pelagius? That is actually what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping he's Pelagius, because he's assumed dead, but just like in Game of Thrones, or if you read the books, A Song of Ice and Fire, don't assume anybody's dead until they have been, like, on-screen dead for 5 minutes. Not just assumed dead for 5 minutes. On-screen dead for 5 minutes. Because you assume Anakin's dead? Nope. Lol. Here he is. I have a problem with the lightsaber, though, that Rey gets, because Luke, when fighting Vader, gets his hand cut off and he loses his lightsaber, which is why he builds a new one that he has in Return of the Jedi. So that lightsaber is gone. So how did they get it? I don't understand. And I also thought I would be much more articulate here today, but here we go. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm reading these notes. Yeah, okay. So, I was chatting with a friend, and he was complaining about, how bland Snoke was as a villain, and I think that's a carefully crafted cover. His casual, bland evil isn't obviously how he is, but maybe it just was such a stark contrast to, Kylo Ren. Maybe it's just because Kylo was everywhere and so ludicrous that Snoke then just seems absurdly calm. I just really am in love with this movie. And I really thought I had more articulate thoughts on it than this. But either way, I am so grateful they didn't ruin it, because Star Wars means a lot to me. It shaped a lot of who I was as a person, who I am as a person. And I'm just so... Gosh, we waited 30 years for this. I've waited my whole life for this. And I am just so thankful. I'm glad it worked out. This is not an articulate review. There are better reviews, I'm sure. But what you can say about this one is that I believe everything I'm saying. I believe it was a good movie. I believe in my theories. I put weight into it. I made an investment and I got back so much more. And I think, feel free to disagree with me. That's what comments are for. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I'm just... what a privilege it was to see it. And if for some reason you're here and you haven't seen it, and I know Luke dies, Rey is like a Jedi, Poe and Finn are basically like... there's another friggin' Death Star thing going on. You know, all of this. What else do you want me to tell you? C-3PO comes back. Han and Leia are in a rough patch, but they hug it out. And then he dies, you know. They go rescue Kylo Ren, almost convinces Rey to join the dark side by talking about the Force, and then she remembers the Force, and then she whoops his ass now that you know all the important parts, especially the scrolly text. And you are still here, even though you haven't seen it. Still go watch it, because you know you need to see it. You need to see it. I need to go see it again. Buy me tickets to see it for Christmas. Anyway, was this video informative? Yes, it was. You learned about things that happen in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Awakens. Leave a like. Was it inflammatory? Probably. What did I hit? What did I miss? What did I leave out completely? Like, talk about missing things. It was so good to see the Millennium Falcon again and see Chewie. And what is Chewie gonna do without Han? Apparently he's gonna fly around with Rey. I'm perfectly okay with that. So, inflammatory? Leave a comment. Leave a comment if it wasn't inflammatory. Did you like it? Talk about the movie. Talk about my review of it. Leave your own review. Whatever. Was this intriguing? I'm probably not going to do a video on Star Wars again for a while. Maybe I will, though. Who knows? Either way, subscribe, because I do stuff other than Star Wars too, and I'll probably do more Star Wars. Hit me up on Twitter or Tumblr using the hashtag #AskAzaria, or the messaging system. The direct messages on Twitter, and either the Ask or the messaging on Tumblr to be featured in our next Just Asking Monday. May the Force be with you, always. And I hope you have a great day.